بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إذا الشمس كورت وإذا النجوم انكدرت وإذا الجبال سيرت وإذا العشار عطلت وإذا الوحوش حشرت وإذا البحار سجرت وإذا النفوس زوجت وإذا الموءودة سئلت بأي ذنب قتلت وإذا الصحف نشرت وإذا السماء كشطت وإذا الجحيم سعرت وإذا الجنة.
In the name of Allah, the Merciful, the Compassionate. All praises to Allah, the Creator of the universes and their Sustainer, the Provider of believers and unbelievers. And may His choicest blessings be on the seal of His prophets, the last of His messengers and His holy progeny. And in particular, may His incessant blessings continue to flow on that beloved daughter of the holy Prophet, on Tahira, Mutahhara, Muhaddasa, Fatima Zahra, Salamullahi alayha, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa Muhammad. Yesterday, our discussions on Bibi Fatema Zahra alayha salam were overtaken by her Messiah in the way that her funeral took place. The reality of the matter we discussed by way of Messiah, that Hazrat Amir alayhi salam became obliged to dig 4, according to one tradition, 7, according to another tradition, graves in the Baqi, when it was not even certain whether she was buried in the Baqi or in the house of the Holy Prophet. And having buried her, these graves were built up to create a scenario that she was buried in one of those newly made graves. The next step that Hazrat Amir alayhi salam took, naturally overcome by his own emotion, it is said that he sat on one of those graves, selected at random so that it is not discovered as to which it was between them, and cried intensely, cried for a long time, not able to overcome his grief, and saying to Bibi Fatema Zahra alayha salam, what a perfect human being you were all through your life, and how now can I find another human being with such perfect manners and such perfect knowledge and such perfect conduct as you exhibited. But from there he moved straight to the grave of the Holy Prophet, and at the grave, having saluted the Holy Prophet, complained to the Holy Prophet about the passing away of Bibi Fatema Zahra alayha salam, and having completed that particular salutation, sent salutation to both of them from that place, from near the grave of the Holy Prophet, and went away to his house. People, of course, now became convinced that Fatima Zahra alayha salam was already buried. The ladies naturally became immensely upset, and the men in turn became upset and said, we are very grieved that the Holy Prophet should just have passed away, should have left but one daughter whom we could not even pray on. And they became aware that the wasiyah was that nobody should be told, so that the two eminent companions of the Holy Prophet do not attend her funeral and do not pray on her coffin. So the public became extremely upset. Obviously, the Khalif became upset that because of her disappointment with him, the result is that the public is now upset. And we have already discussed how important it was to Abu Bakr that he should appease the public at all times. He felt he owed them a duty. How was this now to be brought about? And a very crude order was immediately issued. It said these 4 or 7 graves should all be dug up. The one containing the body of Bibi Fatema to Zahra alayha salam, should the body be exhumed from it, and people be given an opportunity to recite Salatul Mayyit on that body, and then the body be buried again. Now that would be great disrespect to that body. It is amazing that the people did not object to that course of action. However, Imam Ali alayhi salam immediately came to know that this is the decision taken. And on that occasion, it is said that Imam Ali alayhi salam immediately dressed himself in his military attire, in his war gear, and came out with his sword unsheathed already, and stood at those graves, saying, if anybody will dare move even one stone from any of these graves, not identifying any of them, if from any of these recently prepared graves, if anybody will move in even one stone, then my sword will chase him. And if a group will come, I'll fight the entire group until even the last one who will be running away, until the back, as he said, because normally he did not fight people from their backs. We discussed this last year. Imam Ali alayhi salam would only fight for a person from in front of him. If somebody turned around and fled, he is spared. This time he said, I will even fight the backs of those who will dare come to interfere with any of these graves. Yet, the government, having seen Imam Ali alayhi salam quiet since the martyrdom of the Holy Prophet, thought the better of it. And one person from the government came forward to start digging the grave. And the moment he came forward, Imam Ali alayhi salam presented himself to him and said, you son of Sawada, you dare touch one of these stones? And he said, Ya Ali, why should I not? We want to pray on the body of the daughter of the Prophet. Imam Ali alayhi salam, he having said this, immediately held him, it is said, by his left hand. The right hand had the sword, just held him on his shirt with the left hand, shook him and threw him on the ground. And that having happened, the others immediately went back and saw what happened. Abu Bakr came forward and said, Ya Ali, why are you so angry? Imam Ali says, Abu Bakr, I will not let anyone even come close to any of these graves. And if you dare issue such order, then I have already warned you all of what will happen. And Imam Ali alayhi salam there gave a short speech, turned round and said, Ayyuhan nas, since the Holy Prophet died, and this is a very important speech, this is why I thought I should present it to you, because this is the first address by Imam Ali alayhi salam to the Ansars and to the people of Medina since the martyrdom of the Holy Prophet. Until then, he remained quiet. The addresses came from the daughter of the Holy Prophet. And Imam Ali alayhi salam says that if you found me quiet all this time, you took away my rights. I was entitled to the guardianship of this commonwealth. You took away my rights, and Abu Bakr was there listening to it. I have remained quiet only in the interest of the Ummah. I have remained quiet only for one reason, that I did not want those who had already become Muslims to forsake their faith. To ensure that every Muslim remains in faith, I held my hand. That did not mean that I was any weaker than I was in the lifetime of the Holy Prophet. Of course, the world saw that even 25 years after the martyrdom of the Holy Prophet in Siffin, in Hunain, in Jamal, in Naharawan. And so he said, I am not one iota weaker. I kept quiet only for that reason. But that should not be construed as any weakness on my part. The daughter of the Holy Prophet had enough of injustices during her lifetime. She will not be allowed to tolerate any more injustice after her death, and her grave will not be allowed to touch. And again, waving his sword, he turned around and said, I swear that if any one of you will dare touch any one stone of any one of these graves, you will see what the sword of Ali will do, and I promise to irrigate, that's the word he used, to irrigate the streets of Medina with your blood. Then the Madanites could see that the lion who had so far remained quiet is now ruffled. Abu Bakr immediately said, and he did not perhaps want politically Imam Ali alayhi salam to proceed with the speech. He says, Ya Ali, do not be angry, do not be excited anymore. I'll issue an order now that nobody will touch any of these graves, and henceforth, in respect of Fatimatu Zahra, we will act in a manner in which you will approve. So Imam Ali alayhi salam said, if that is so, you all go away. They all went away, and Imam Ali alayhi salam left the place. Well, the consequence that Bibi Fatema Zahra alayha salam warned the Madanites of, that in the way in which you are behaving, you are only choosing a path that will lead you to misfortunes. And that is the first misfortune that they could confront themselves with, that the daughter of their grand prophet had passed away, and they could not even say prayers on her. One would perhaps have expected more of it from them than we saw, but at least this much sentiment was at that stage expressed, and any attempt at exhumation was totally stopped by Imam Ali alayhi salam himself. Yesterday I set out the history of how Abu Bakr and Umar visited Imam Ali alayhi salam. I beg your pardon, visited Bibi Fatema Zahra alayha salam to seek an apology. Time was passing, and it was important to keep up to the sequence of events so that they are expressed in a comprehensible manner. But I do want to retrace my steps for a very important reason. The youth is entitled to ask this question of the apology, vital and important as it was. For I made a few points out of that meeting. A significant point being that if Abu Bakr even believed that what he did was right, how did the question of this apology arise at all, in the first instance, or even at all? Well, if it is such an important incident, then, and obviously it is reported in Shiite sources, is it reported in Sunnite sources as well? And I do want to present the leading Sunnite source on that point to the youths. It is contained, the report comes from Ibn al-Fatal, and that is contained in Rawdatul Wa'idhin, but the one containing a full apology comes from Ibn al-Qatil, and that is reported in extenso, exactly as I have set out in Al-Imama wa Siyasa in volume 1 at page 13. So that report can easily be verified. What is of significance insofar as Bibi Fatema Zahra alayha salam is concerned, is that her life was couched in a way in which she was not only a leader on earth, she was a leader of the heavens as well. And I started with that proposition. Tonight, when we conclude our sittings on Bibi Fatema Zahra alayha salam, I want to end on exactly that note, that she was a leader not only on earth, she was a leader for the hereafter also. In other words, for the entire encompassment of universe, she remains a leader. leader on earth. We have seen in so many respects, in these few nights we have discussed her. She has taught us so many things, some of which we discussed. Indeed, if one were to sum up that part of it, then it is set out by Sheikh Abbas Qummi in Muntaha al-Amal. A question was asked by the Holy Prophet in Masjid al-Nabawi, and this is reported by Anas bin Malik. The question was, what is the state of a woman which is dearest to Allah? In what state should a woman be so that she is dearest and nearest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? The Holy Prophet asked that question in the mosque. No companion could answer it. Imam Ali alayhi salam moved out of the mosque to the house and asked Fatima and says, Ya Fatima, your father has asked this question. You would know the answer. What is the answer? And Bibi Fatema Zahra alayhi salam replied, saying that when a lady is in a state in which she is engrossed in fulfilling household duties, she is attached to the household, attending to the household duties, and does not go out unless it is necessary to do so, that is the state in which she is nearest to Allah. And the Holy Prophet, and hearing that question, that answer, says, indeed, that is my beloved daughter saying what she is, which is indeed the correct answer to that question. She built up a sort of a social order in which the house is protected. Protecting the house is so very important. The Western world is now beginning to learn that reality too. And career ladies take time off to look after children when they are small, because the first madrasa, indeed the everlasting, the most effective madrasa for a child, is in the laps of the mother. The mother should be able to have the peace, the quiet and the facility to teach that child from that very initial stage. Inculcate and imbue in the child not only the duties of the world, more importantly the fellowship of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. And then the orders on Imam Ali alayhi salam at her marriage, that Ya Ali, you will attend to all the external responsibilities, toiling for the family, making sure that there is enough resources to keep the family running, and so forth. She not only taught us that, she taught us how to worship Allah. She taught us what is the consequence of that worship and how it should be carried out whilst other household work is also being done. Asma binti Umays says that whenever I visited Bibi Fatema Zahra alayha salam and found her engrossed in household duties, she also had the dhikr of Allah on her lips. There was always the dhikr of Allah, there was always the tasbih of Allah, simultaneously with performance of duties of Allah. That dhikr, I mentioned of her prayer mat, but that appears to have been taken up during the day, even in the course of her other duties. Her dress, her social behavior continues all through. And indeed, this is why the Holy Prophet would stand up when she came. A partner to the Holy Prophet in teaching the Ummah, the Holy Prophet taking care of the male side, she educating the women. And how many women went to her house to be so educated? The great thing is that the light of Bibi Fatema Zahra alayha salam continues and continues to spread throughout. I did not take your time and will not this evening either stating at length that well-known episode of her chadar, of her veil, that when Imam Ali alayhi salam was in need of money for household expenses and mentioned that to be Fatima Zahra alayha salam, she took out one of her chadars, and one of her chadars, I said, as though there were many, just one of the two perhaps, and said, Ya Ali, go and pawn this and get as much money as you think we need. And Imam Ali alayhi salam does exactly that. The Jew advances the money, keeps that, gives the chadar to his wife, who folds it in a respectable manner and keeps it in a drawer in their bedroom, and suddenly she finds at night there is light emanating, nur emanating from that drawer. She wonders what is happening, calls the husband, forgets that there is that veil of Bibi Fatema Zahra alayhi salam kept there. And when ultimately they enter that bedroom to find out what it was and open the drawer, there they find that all that light emanates from that particular veil. They decided, this is eminently reported in Muntaha al-Amal by Sheikh Abbas Kummi at page 134 in the first volume of that work. They immediately called all their friends and family, who of course were all Jews. And it is said that in respect of that one occasion, at least 700 Jews became Muslims. This is how the rays of faith flowed out of her veil. And that happens today as much as it happened then. What is important is to make sure that in our hearts and particularly in our minds, because that word qalb that we talk of in Arabic has a connotation of the mind as much as the heart, that we have her and her teachings in mind, and that alone will lead us to attain those rays that are effusing from her even today. Well, that for this world, for the hereafter, that she will make that she will be entitled to shafa'ah is very well established in all sources. And of course, as always, I will set out the Sunnite sources, because it is so easy. It is so easy to accuse us of making up these ahadith, but they appear in as much abundance, and that is the word I use, in as much abundance in Sunnite sources as they appear in our sources. Indeed, Abu Huraira is reported to have stated, and Qadnuzi reports this, saying that the first lady, أول من دخل الجنة فاطمة بنت محمد سلام الله عليها صلى على محمد. But do you see the significance of that hadith? He says, according to the Holy Prophet, reported by Abu Huraira, he says that the first person to enter Jannah will be Fatima Zahra. You can see this leader who will lead on the day of judgment into Jannah. Well, that hadith, of course, carries a lot of connotations along with it. Must she then not have been Siddiqa? If she will be the first person, awwaluman, he makes no distinctions on genders. The first to enter is all that he says. Does that not mean that she must have been Tahira? Does that not mean that she must have been Siddiqa? Does that not mean that she must have been Radiyatun Marudiyah? Does that not also mean that she was right in her claim of Fadak? Because if she was not, she has to answer for making a false claim. But if she is going to sail through to heaven and to be the first person to enter heaven, aren't all arguments resolved? All that needs to be said is either believe what your Prophet has told you or you don't. But mind you, if you don't believe what the Prophet told you, you cease to be a Muslim. That is the status of Bibi Fatema Zahra alayha salam in the hereafter on this source. And it is reported, as I said, by Qanduzi, and it is to be found, if you like, in Yanabiul Mawadda at page 260 on the authority of Abu Huraira. And a number of such ahadiths are contained. I do wish to conclude this subject so that we go to the next bit of our agenda for these sessions, and so I rush you through them, but at ease. They will be available to you when you like. And it is also reported by Abu Huraira that on the day of judgment there will be a munadi, a cry, and it will be from the min batnanil arsh, from the bottom, from the bottom side of arsh, of the throne of Allah. And it will say, Ya Ahlul Qiyamah, O people who are gathered on this day, lower your eyes so that Fatima binti Muhammad may be able to enter. Yes, so that Fatima binti Muhammad may be able to enter heaven, and she will enter heaven. لتجوز فاطمة بنت محمد مع قميص مقصوب بدم الحسين, so that Fatima binti Muhammad should be able to enter heaven, and she will be proceeding to heaven with a qamis, with a shirt which will be saturated with the blood of Hussein. This is not a Shiite source. May I perhaps give you the source straight away? It comes from Yanabiul Mawadda, that Chief Justice of the Turkish Sultanate, a Hanafi by denomination, and you will find that passage at page 260 of his book. And the book is available till today, recently reprinted, I am told, in Dubai. He says that Bibi Fatema Zahra alayha salam will go towards heaven with a shirt in her hand which makhsoob bidamil, which will be saturated with the blood of her son Hussein alayhi salam. She will, as she passes the arsh, embrace the leg, saq al-arsh, the leg of the throne, and she will say, Anta Jabbarul Adl, you are mighty, O Allah, but you are also just. Today you judge between me, Baini wa baina man qatala waladi, you judge between me and the one who killed my son Hussein alayhi salam. Was he a person who deserved to be killed? You judge on that issue today. What is significant? What is significant is she does not say judge between my son and the one who killed him. She says judge between me and the one who killed him. Because this is exactly what has always been said by the Holy Prophet, and has always been said by Fatima Zahra alayha salam, that he, Hussein, formed part of her. The Holy Prophet said he formed part of him. Inshallah, given time, we shall embark on that discussion tonight. These are important statements which unfortunately do not carry the significance they ought to. Bibi Fatima Zahra alayha salam says, do justice between him and me. Takes us back to that illustrious khutbah of Bibi Zainab alayha salam in the court of Yazid, when he said, Yo Yazid, today you think you are powerful, but soon will that day come when the Holy Prophet and that daughter of the Holy Prophet will be the complainants before Allah, and you will be the defendant. And you will be called upon to defend this when they will be the complainant. And when my mother will ask you, O Yazid, what wrong had my son done that you killed him, or caused him to be killed? One can see that. One can see that in this hadith from this leading Sunnite source. This hadith of Bibi Fatima Zahra alayha salam having the shirt of Imam Hussein alayhi salam in hand, saturated with blood on that day, is no fiction, nor is it a Shiite fabrication. You can see this, and I'm only citing to you limited work because we have limited time. So she will ask Allah to judge between her son and those who killed him, and then will ask Allah to allow her to intercede in a matter, in this matter, and to intercede, Allahumma shfa'ani fi man, and to intercede in respect of those who have cried ala musibati, those who have cried over the afflictions of Hussein alayhi salam. And Allah will allow her at that time to intercede on behalf of all those who have cried, that's exactly the word, who have wept on the musibah of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Well, I would like to turn around to Khanduzi and ask, that how will Bibi Fatema Zahra alayha salam make shafa'ah for those, intercede on behalf of those who have cried for Imam Hussein alayhi salam, unless that hadith is also true, that at each of these sittings of ours, Fatima Zahra alayha salam attends in person. She attends in person and identifies in person who is it that has wept, sincerely wept on her son, and who hasn't, so that she is able to pick them one after the other. May I at this stage, perhaps, I wanted to do it at the end of it, but may I at this stage intervene, lest time does not permit us to do so later, and mention to you a Shiite hadith on this particular point. It comes from Jabir bin Abdullah Ansari, a leading companion of the Holy Prophet, accepted by all denominations as authentic in his ahadith. He says he had opportunity to ask Imam Muhammad Baqir salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi. You remember the discussions we have had about Jabir and the fifth Imam, that the Prophet told him, "Oh Jabir," he asked the Prophet who would succeed the Prophet, and the Prophet mentioned Imam Ali, and who after him? Imam Hassan, and who after him? And then the Holy Prophet said, "Jabir, you will meet the fifth of my successors. His name will be my name. His voice will be like my voice. And when you meet him, convey my salams to him." That has been the association between Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salam and Jabir. And one day Jabir asks Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salam about these ahadith. Said that I have heard your grandfather talk about how Bibi Fatima Zahra alayha salam will make shafa'ah. What do you say about this? And he says, exactly so, because my grandfather, the Holy Prophet, had said that on that day, and then gives a vivid account of what will happen. A mimbar will be established for all the prophets and messengers, and the Holy Prophet will address them. A mimbar will be established for the Awsiya, and Imam Ali alayhi salam will address them, and for the sons of Awsiya, and Hassanain alayhim salam will address them. And then ultimately he says, Bibi Fatima Zahra alayha salam will come in. Command will be, lower your eyes, so that the daughter of the Holy Prophet comes, and when she will come and will be escorted towards heaven, she will stand at the gate of heaven. And Allah will ask her, "Oh Fatima, you have free passage into heaven. You do not have to await permission to enter heaven." And Bibi Fatima will say, "Isn't this a day on which I would like my position to be known?" And Allah says, "Yes, Fatima, your position will be known. And it will be known in this way, that you can make shafa'ah for people, for all the members of your progeny." And Bibi Fatima will say, "How about those who loved my progeny?" And Allah says, "Yes, you pick those who loved you." And Imam Baqir alayhi salam says, Bibi Fatima Zahra alayhi salam will turn and will at that time pick the Shias, pick those who loved her, loved Ali alayhi salam, and loved Hassanain alayhi salam. She will pick them, and he describes them in a beautiful way. He says he will pick them just as a bird picks good seeds from the bad ones. Just as a bird picks good seeds from the bad one, eats the good seeds and abandons the bad ones. And Bibi Fatima Zahra alayhi salam, Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salam says, this is how she will pick up all those. And the hadith does not even end there. When these picked people will come to the gates of heaven, they too will pause there, and Allah will say, "Fatima Zahra alayhi salam has given you leave to enter. What are you waiting for?" They will turn around and say, "Ya Allah, we felt our status might be established today." And Allah says, "Very well, then you too have the right of shafa'ah. You too, those who loved Fatima Zahra alayha salam and her progeny, you too have the right of shafa'ah. You can pick those who loved you because you loved Fatima, those who fed you because of Fatima, those who gave you drink because of Fatima, those who gave you clothes because of Fatima, and those who prevented backbiting against you because of Fatima." So you can see the level of that leadership on that day. She remains our leader throughout this life. She remains our leader in the days to come. That is how Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salam explains the position to Jabir ibn Abdullah Ansari. And that also is set out in Sunnite sources as much as it is set out in Shiite sources. And at page 288 of volume 4 of Qadatuna by Sayyid Muhammad Mahdi, Ayatullah al-Udhama, Milani, in his that work at page 288, he sets out that hadith as well. And it is in Tarikh al-Baghdad, a leading Sunnite work. But here we are. I present to you that this hadith from Yanabi ul-Mawadda on exactly this point of Shafa of Bibi Fatema to Zahra alayha salam. Indeed, Khwarizmi again reports from Abi Huraira. He says the first person to enter Jannah will be Fatima, and she will enter Jannah from this ummah, just as Maryam binti Imran will enter Jannah from the ummah of Bani Israel. And then and cites yet another source of Abu Huraira, and all this appears in Maqtal al-Husayn in volume 1 at page 76. And then another hadith of Abu Huraira, it says, when the day of judgment will come, there will be a call. Lower your eyes, because Fatima is now entering Jannah, and then Fatima will enter Jannah, followed by those who loved her. Lisan al-Mizan, volume 4, at page 16. So this concept of even the followers following her is set out in so many of these Sunnite sources. I will read no more, except that I must give you the reference of Sawa'iq-e-Mahriqa. As you know, Sawa'iq-e-Mahriqa was written by Ibn Hajar al-Maqi only against the Shias. And yet in that work, it says clearly that people will be told, غُذُوا أَبْصَارَكُمْ, lower your eyes, until Fatima Zahra alayhi salam enters heaven. He says, مَعَ سَبِّينَ أَلْفْ جَارِيَةٍ, with 70,000 angels, حُورِ الْعِينَ, and they will pass as though there will be a flash of light passing through, 70,000 of them. That is in Sawa'iq-e-Mahriqa at page 113. Again, another hadith of Abu Huraira along the same lines, to be found in the same work at the same page for those interested in that particular aspect of the matter. And then in Nazm Durr Simtain, a leading work of Sunnite source, there is a riwayah from Abi Sa'id from the Holy Prophet himself, saying that on the day of judgment, Maryam, the mother of Musa, Asiya, the wife of Fir'aun, and Khadija will enter heaven, and they will have qusuran min al-yaqut, they will have palaces of rubies. And then Fatima will enter, and she will have 70 palaces. Nothing to do with Shiite source. 70 palaces she will have, min marjan, of corals, marjan al-ahmar, of red corals, full of angels. And then the question will be, how about her followers? And the Holy Prophet said, her followers will follow her into heaven. How can all this be reconciled with the slightest suggestion that she was seeking fadak contrary to a hadith from her own father, when she challenged those who were sitting there if they had heard that hadith from her father, particularly when it was contrary to Quran? So you can see that these hadiths flow almost incessantly from all these sources of Sunnite eminence, stating what will happen on the day of judgment. And indeed, why shouldn't Fatima Zahra alayha salam be entitled to that Jannah? coming back to the question of logic and reason, if Jannah is for those who worshipped Allah, can there be any question that Fatima worshipped Allah? If there is any question, if the point is that Jannah is for those who have done good to others, can there be the slightest doubt that Fatima to Zahra did good to others? If Jannah is for those who made sabr, then indeed a person who is known as sabira is Fatima to Zahra alayha salam. So on all counts, you see those virtues enveloping and engulfing Fatima to Zahra alayha salam, leading to that shape. The conclusion I seek you to draw from these sittings is that Fatima to Zahra alayha salam, not only was she a ma'asuma in her own right, but she was that ma'asuma who in the present century and in the present circumstances is worthy of fellowship, for all our activities in the world and for all our aspirations in the hereafter, insha'Allah wa ta'ala. Well, that said, allow me to turn to her two illustrious sons, Al-Hassan alayhi salam and Al-Hussein alayhi salam. The idea was that from tonight we start on Imam Hassan alayhi salam. We have been blessed with one more night of a sitting, which I thought we split between the mother and the sons. It's so far as Imam Hassan alayhi salam is concerned, a number of ahadith on his excellence. An important ahadith, mind you, not ahadith that we can just single out and discuss for the sake of fun. No. Ahadith of consequence, as we found in the case of Bibi Fatema to Zahra alayhi salam. A number of them are intermixed with those relating to Imam Hussein alayhi salam. I was proposing to take your time, therefore, to deal with those ahadith which merge the two brothers into single ahadith, so that tomorrow night we start concentrating on the fadail of Imam Hassan alayhi salam. Very important indeed that we should talk about Imam Hassan alayhi salam, because he has become the target of totally unjustified vilification by the enemies of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. But that we shall commence from tomorrow to expose the true talents, merits and qualities of Imam Hassan alayhi salam. But let us commence with discussing tonight those ahadith for a few minutes, those ahadith that relate to the joint qualities of the two brothers. And I will only set out to you again in a manner that we have done with Bibi Fatema to Zahra alayhi salam, without reading out those ahadith, only setting out the substance of them to you from leading Sunnite sources. And the first that I would like to start from is Kanzul Amal, which we have already dealt with. It appears in volume 13 at page 639. And that is a hadith that he reports from Muttaqi, saying that the Holy Prophet held the hands of Hassan and Hussein. An important gesture, because then it is not any other Hassan he was talking about. It is not any other Hussein that he was talking about. He literally held their hands and said, he says, أَخَذَ بِيَدِ حَسَنِ وَالْحُسَيْنِ. He held their hands and said, مَنْ أَحَبَّنِي وَحَبَّ حَذَيْنِ وَأَبَاهُمَا وَأُمَّهُمَا كَانَ مَعِيَ فِي الْجَنَّةِ. Those who will love these two and will love their mother and their father, both of those, the father and the mother, will be with me fi darajati yawm al-qiyamah. They will be with me at the status at which I will be on the day of judgment. Now, I set this out to you from this Sunnite source, and I pause to ask you one question. What does a Muslim in this world, in this century, desire? What does he desire? Isn't the innermost desire of any Muslim worthy of his name that on the day of Jannah he should be with the Holy Prophet? Is there any other hope or aspiration that a Muslim has? And the answer is provided in that hadith, which is why I cite it to you. And I do not cite it to you from any source that you can have the slightest doubt about. If anything, you might doubt whether it was genuine in other respects. But when it sets out the fadail of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, what will you say about it? He holds the hands of them and says, he who loves these two, their mother and father, will be at the status, at darajati, at my level, in my rank on the day of judgment. And one finds that, finds that repeated in another hadith, in that same book, volume 13, at page 639. And this hadith, again from the Holy Prophet, says that the first to enter Jannah will be me, with my daughter Fatima, in keeping with the other hadith that we saw. And then behind us will be Hassanain, Al-Hassan wal-Hussein. And Imam Ali alayhi salam is then said to have asked the Holy Prophet, how about those who loved the two? That is, loved Fatima and loved Hassanain alayhim salam, the two of them. The Holy Prophet says, Qala man waraakum, they will be immediately behind them. They will be immediately behind them. So the position and the status is established by the Holy Prophet himself. And again you get that from the Sunnite sources. Be therefore pleased and bless your parents that you are amongst those who love Hassanain alayhim salam and love Bibi Fatema alayhi salam, to make sure that that love and affection is never lost. Why do I say to make sure that it is not lost? Because the Holy Prophet has said that you can do good. It is said to that ashab who was growing old and says to the Holy Prophet, I'm no longer able to say as much prayer and to fast as I used to. What do I do? And the Holy Prophet says, well, continue with tasbih. That tasbih, subhanallah, 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 each of that tasbih means you are growing date palms in heaven for yourself. That clearly assumes that the person will go to heaven and will get gardens after gardens. So he says, oh, Rasulullah, I've been doing that since I was a youth. So I must be having a number of date palms there. The Holy Prophet says, yes, but make sure that having got them, you do not set them all alight with just one matchstick of fire. That is the test. That is the test. That slight deviation on the universities from the love of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, for the sake of inconclusive arguments that are being put forward today, can do a lot of damage. What is important is to remain steadfast. And these authorities that exist from their own books are the answer to their own arguments against us. The authorities in our books are those to buttress our faith. Because those who have followed Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam have indeed followed the path that leads to heaven. That was the only motto for which they lived. And the authorities are abundant on that issue. Ma'arij al-Ula fi manaqib al-Murtaza, again a leading Sunnite source, talks exactly in the terms that I have set out. The leading hadith on the fadail, on the excellence of Hassanain alayhim salam, you will find in Majma'ul Zawaid in volume 9, page 182, is the hadith on the lips of all Shiite youths. It says, from the words of the Holy Prophet, Al-Hassani wal-Hussein, Sayyida Shababi Ahlil Jannah. Now that is a hadith you will repeatedly find. You will find it is reported by numerous companions of eminence of the Holy Prophet. There is not one dissent. All historians are unanimous that the Holy Prophet has said, Al-Hassani wal-Hussein, Sayyida Shababi Ahlil Jannah, which only means Al-Hassan and Hussein are the leaders, the two leaders of the youths of heaven. The natural corollary of that hadith must be, inescapably, logically, cannot be denied, that if any youth wants to go to heaven, he has to be a follower of Hassan and Hussein. Because it is only followers of Hassan and Hussein who will go to heaven. They will be the ones who will lead everybody to heaven. From that, there is no escape. And the pinnacle, I put it, the pinnacle of that hadith comes on the day of Ashura. in his address, Imam Hussain alayhi salam addresses the army of Yazid on that day. And in that address, he turns round to them and says, amongst you I find companions of the Prophet. When I just reminded you of that hadith of the Holy Prophet, accumulate those gardens, but make sure that with one matchstick you don't put a light to all those gardens. You can see the situation. There are companions of the Holy Prophet gathered to kill one who is supposed to be the leaders of the youths of heaven. But you can see how the devil can so mislead a man that he can be happy to do that which he himself accepts is wrong. Imam Hussain alayhi salam, not that he thought they will run away, not that he thought he would do anything different, but only to discharge his duty as the grandson of the Prophet, tells them, haven't you, companions of the Prophet, heard? Haven't you heard the Holy Prophet say that I am one of those, Al-Hassan wal-Hussain, Sayyida Shabab bi Ahlil Jannah? That hadith was repeated in Karbala, on the plains of Karbala, by Imam Hussain alayhi salam. Indeed, when they were silent, Imam Hussain alayhi salam turned his horse, because he was facing the warriors. He turned his horse facing Umar ibn Sa'd and says, "O Umar, haven't you yourself heard the Holy Prophet saying that I am one of the two who is the leader of the youths of heaven?" What was Umar ibn Sa'd to reply? What was he to say? He dared not say that hadith was not genuine. He did what all tyrants do, and they do to this day. He did what all despots do. He took out an arrow, put it in his bow, and says, "Ya Hussein, be a witness that I am the first to issue an arrow on you," and ordered his people to start issuing arrows on Imam Hussain alayhi salam, for saying that which was absolutely true, and saying that which the Holy Prophet had said. But that can be the only answer. Violence can be the only answer a tyrannic despot will give, even in this world today, when confronted with truth. Well, but the answer is that particular hadith by itself is final in concluding the true place of Imam Hassan alayhi salam in this world and in the hereafter. I say this at the very commencement of discussions of Imam Hassan alayhi salam, because we will keep discussing about Imam Hassan alayhi salam, particularly when we come, as much as we discussed Fadak, we will discuss that alleged sulh of Imam Hassan alayhi salam. And when we discuss that alleged sulh, as I like to call it, then this point will be of preeminence. Indeed, Hishami says, from his sources from Bibi Fatema to Zahra alayha salam, and she says that in that particular hadith, that my father used to kiss these two sons, and at the same time always saying that from these two I get the fragrance of heaven, they will lead the ummah to heaven. Indeed, in respect of Hassanain alayhim as-salam, the Holy Prophet said, do you want to know who are the best? And I apologize, I must give you the source of this, because otherwise the purpose of that discussion is lost. These are hadiths you know too well. The purpose is to discuss the rationale behind them and the source. And this source is Ma'arij al-Ula fi Manaqib al-Murtada, and you will find it at page 154. There the Holy Prophet is reported to have said, to have asked people, do you want to know who are the best of men in this world? And the people said, yes. And he raises his two grandsons, Hassanain alayhim as-salam, just two of them, and says, these are the best. Now, this is a crucial statement, please, if we seek to understand it. In that very sitting was Ali, and in that very sitting was the Holy Prophet. The Holy Prophet is now uplifting these two beyond even himself and Imam Ali alayhi salam. And he says, if you want to know who are the best of men, these are the best of men. And if you want to know why, let me tell you why. Nobody here has the kind of grandfather these two have. Who could have said that he had a grandfather in the Holy Prophet? None of them have the grandmother these two have, Khadija. None of them can claim to have the father these two have, that was Ali. None of them can claim to have the Siddiqah of a mother than these two can have. In fact, he went on and said nobody can claim to have an uncle that these people had, and nobody can claim to have aunties that these people had. But this level of altitude and status therefore belonged to Bibi Zainab alayha salam as well. She too was a person of that level. She had the same grandparents Hussein had. She had the same grandfather Hussein had. She had the same father and mother as Hussein had. And indeed, when Hussein therefore comes to her and says, Zainab, Yazid is asking for my allegiance. And Zainab says, oh Hussein, what have you decided? And he says, I thought I should consult you first. Zainab immediately says, Hussein, do you forget that in my veins flows the same blood that flows in your veins? There cannot be any other answer to Yazid. Hussein says, yeah, Zainab, do not get excited. I've already said that I will not give bay'ah tonight to Yazid. And indeed, Zainab, I have decided I shall leave Medina. Instantly, Zainab alayhi salam says, oh my brother, I will accompany you. I will come to you in which that excellence of Hussein is going to lie. That pinnacle of martyrdom that Hussein is going to have, Zainab alayhi salam is going to share it in its equality. And she starts at that particular stage, says, Hussein, I will join you in this trip, and I will accompany you at every stage of this trip till we see the end of it. And indeed, Bibi Zainab alayhi salam does not go alone. Takes along with her two of her sons, Aun and Muhammad. Imam Hussein alayhi salam is keen that on that particular issue, their father Abdullah be consulted, and indeed asked that Abdullah be consulted. And when he mentions this to Abdullah, Abdullah's first thing is, Ya Ibn Rasulillah, I will come along with you myself. And Imam Hussein alayhi salam says, no Abdullah, you will not come along with me because you are not well. You are sick, your health does not permit you. Imam Hussein alayhi salam knew very well that his strategy was a strategy of sacrifice, not of winning the war. It is so very well known that if Abdullah bin Ja'far was one of those fighting in Karbala, the very result of that battle would have changed if he had joined hands with Abbas, who was in Karbala at that particular point in time. Abdullah bin Ja'far is not allowed to proceed, and he makes a number of efforts in the path of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Eventually, this caravan reaches Karbala, and on the night of Ashura, Bibi Zainab alayhi salam gathers Aun and Muhammad and says, Ya Aun and Muhammad, you know from what blood you come. This hadith of the Holy Prophet is narrated of Hassan and Hussein to these children, saying you two belong exactly to that progeny, to that hierarchy in which Fatima is the grandmother, and Ja'far at-Tayyar, your grandfather, is eminent amongst those who fought for the Holy Prophet. Indeed, in the court of Damascus, when Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam was addressing Yazid, he said, oh Yazid, one of the gifts of Allah to Ahlul Bayt is Ja'far, and that is the grandfather of Aun and Muhammad. And she tells them, oh Aun and Muhammad, you will fight tomorrow in a way in which these people come to remember who Ali was, your maternal grandfather, and who Ja'far was, your maternal grandfather. And indeed, when the time came and these two people went to Imam Hussein alayhi salam, it is said Imam Hussein alayhi salam had one of those most difficult times allowing these two small children to go to fight. He looks at them and says, you are memories. You are the progeny of our grandfathers. How how can I let you go and fight? Turns round to Zainab and says, Zainab, this is your progeny. If I let them go and they are martyred, what will be left with the progeny of this daughter of Fatima Zahra alayha salam? Bibi Zainab alayha salam says, Ya Hussein, what good my progeny if your blood, if your life is not going to be saved today? If you do not allow these two children to go and die in this cause today, Hussein, you will deprive me of status in the eyes of my mother. I will complain to my mother, oh Hussein. Hussein says, Zainab, you are rendering me helpless. But when these children do go and they fight at the very doorstep of Umar, the army becomes absolutely astonished that people fight with army. These children are aiming straight at the camp of Umar ibn Sa'ad. Umar ibn Sa'ad fled from his camp on seeing these children and said, can you please surround them? These two children who were fighting together are suddenly separated by the army. Each now is fighting on his own, each in his hunger and thirst, and each continued fighting until a stage is reached when each of them announce, Assalamu alayka ya amma. Oh my uncle, my salams on you. Abbas sets out before Hussein sets out. Abbas knows what these children mean to Hussein alayhi salam. Indeed, Hussein reaches onto the bodies of these two children. He turns round to each one of them and says, Ya Muhammad, I will be taking your bodies to your mother. I do not know if you will still be alive. They say, oh father, do not worry about, oh uncle, do not worry about us. Hussein says, and what state for Hussein? Any wasiyah you want me to convey to your mother? Look at the state in which this uncle has to ask for wasiyah from these little teenagers. And each of them turns down and says, uncle, when our bodies reach the tent and our mother receives them, tell her only one thing. That one thing we want her to know is that we are as thirsty now dying as we were when we left the tent. We went to Furat. We haven't drunk one drop of water. Hussein says, oh Lord Muhammad, may I be sacrificed for you, but my grandfather will quench your thirst. ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون رحم الله من يكرم